Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Word Balloon Live, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Elsa Charretier joins us once again on Word Balloon.
Hi.
Great to see you,
Hi,
Elsa.
John. You too.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for talking today. Absolutely. As I was telling you off the air, I am loving Love Everlasting, and here is the cover of issue 2. And I'm so glad, as you were telling me now, and it's in the chat, everybody, the link. They have released issue 2, and
Yep.
it's available here at the URL everlastingproductions.substack.com, and it's a
For free.
fantastic for free. Yes,
Yep.
and absolutely. Let's stress that. So if you haven't subscribed already to Substack, you could get these first 2 issues, and I've already posted, and we'll be looking at several images from issue 1. I am a sucker, Ilsa, for romance comics, and I know that that's kind of just the framing for a much more detailed time travel story, perhaps a bit of horror in the story as well. I love this idea. How did you and Tom arrive at this subject to cover?
It was old Tom. I'm sorry
Really?
to say. I wish
Really?
I had a part in this. He came up with the concept of the book. He pitched it to me. I loved it. It was the first idea that he pitched to me, and so we just went with it. I think that we refined the idea in the book itself as we were working on it, but the concept of having that character, Joan, being kind of trapped in a romance comics or in a series of romance comics and trying to find her way out was entirely Tom's.
That's great. Did you research the look of romance comics to achieve the visuals that you have? Again, I mean, I love this splash page, and there are others as well that show the various romance scenarios that you put Joan in.
I
But
did to a certain extent, not too much, because I'm not a big fan of research as a whole, or like looking for references is not my thing. I'm not sure why. It's not that I don't respect what's been done in the past. It's more that I like to have the bare minimum of information to work from, and then build up on this and find my own way of doing, especially since we're doing an homage to romance comics. I did buy an original page from Alex Toth, one of his romance comics.
wow,
Yes. So I did one thing, but it was a big thing. Yeah, because of course, I'm very inspired by Alex Toth's work, generally speaking, and especially his romance work. And I thought that having him, one of his pages kind of staring at me, like, this is the shoes that you're trying to not fill in, because no one can come up to his level ever, but something for me to challenge myself.
understood. How about Roy Lichtenstein, the painter who swiped? Hell, let's call it what it was.
Oh yeah,
Stole
I
so
think, yeah.
many panel compositions for his things, because I've always found in subsequent, but first of all, being my age, but in subsequent decades from the romance era, that a lot of greeting cards and other ads that kind of have that look of a romance comic. I mean, it all seems to, in some cases they're referencing Liechtenstein, not realizing, I think, the amount of the great artists like Alex Toth and J. Scott Pike was another great DC romance artist. Even John
Kirby
Romita.
too. Yeah,
Did we just both say John Romita? That's wonderful. I
yeah.
don't know if
I was about to say Kirby, but he did some too. A lot of the great
absolutely
artists did romance comic. I think part of it was it was work. There was a lot of romance comics being produced at that time, and it was for them a way to work on stories that were different than their
agreed.
superhero work. When it comes to Roy Lichtenstein, I don't know, he kind of took comics and out of its context, and to me, where he brought it to a wider audience, the modern art audience, without the respect for comics, it seems. First of all, for stealing that stuff and then cutting it entirely out from its context.
Indeed, couldn't agree more. Absolutely. That is interesting, though. That you, I understand why you wouldn't want to do research and really imprint your own style on anything that you're approaching. But for instance, I love your videos that you make, where you do break down classic comics, the art style, and you really go into detail, looking at panel composition, page composition, and the artistic choices that a lot of the classic creators made. So that is interesting because obviously your head is in that direction when you make those
Yeah,
videos.
you're right. It's a different sort of research. When I'm trying to come up with something by myself or working on my own art, I like to have a slate as blank as possible. Although it's never, because like you said, we're inspired by everything we've ever read, worked on, all of that. But that's not meaning that I'm not interested in other artists' work or that I don't derive inspiration from it. To me, those are very distinct things and distinct, part of my art. I really, there is a time for creating for me and a time for analyzing, if that makes sense. And those
Yes,
two don't always work together. That's
sure.
weird. But yeah, a lot of the things that I learned, everything that I've learned, was from thanks to all these great artists that came before me.
Honestly, and again, forgive all the praise, but truly, you are really remarkable. You're self taught. We've discussed this in previous conversations that you were in the direction of acting initially, and
Yep.
really kind of fell into drawing. And I mean, again, I'll look at more of these great panels from issue one, and outstanding, fantastic, great look at '70s rock stars and everything. That was terrific, and great western moment here and everything. And again, the Toth influence is there, the Darwin Cook influence is there. I'm so
It
glad that you've found this ability, and I certainly hope the Substack is working as far as finding this audience for yourselves, and people can really enjoy your art. It seems like your audience continues to grow.
Definitely, it's been, well, first of all, part of it, like you said at the beginning, the issues, the comic itself is available for free. Although we're doing advanced release for paid subscribers, they also get access to a lot of extra content. Like a few days ago, I did an entire newsletter about how I work on my pencils at this moment, which is a very complicated, convoluted way of working, and I thought that sharing that could be interesting to people who are not working on comics necessarily. So we're doing a lot of extra content. Tom is putting up his script, like Batman script, Rorschach script, basic newsletter stuff, all of that. So we're trying to come up with interesting ways to communicate with our audience. Oh, I did a podcast too with Clayton Cowles,
Sure,
course.
you're the letterer.
Who's,
Absolutely
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. So we're trying out, hey Michael, we're trying out a lot of different things and seeing what sticks. It's early days.
Yes, I well, and you were already with your YouTube channel making extra content and showing your process, and again discussing these things. So that's great. You were kind of already in the mode of doing, I think, what Substack had hoped for beyond the comic. Do they ask you, Ilza, to? Is there a guideline of other things they want you to do, or do they allow the creators to choose how they want to use their Substack
Oh
platform?
no, we're entirely free to do what we want. The only requirement is that we post a couple of times a week, I think. Although even that, I think, is not. They're not gonna like compare it.
Uh oh, she might have frozen everybody.
Oh, sorry, I'm
That's
back.
okay. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I was saying that Substack is not asking us to post anything specific. As long as we put comics out, that's the only requirement. And when it comes to YouTube and Substack, those are very different entities in terms of what I'm doing on there. So YouTube is more about talking about other artists' work, analyzing that work, and trying to understand why it works and the pillars of sequential storytelling. Whereas the Substack is more about Tom and my stuff, how I work on a comic and how I try to put into practice all of the things that I'm learning on the YouTube channel. So, there's a logic behind all this
Sure.
posts and videos and yeah.
No, that's terrific. You and your partner, he helps you produce your videos, correct?
Oh, he produces the videos. I only write and star in them. He produces everything. Yeah. His name is Pierrick Collinet, for those of you who may not know him. So we do that together. We co-created it, and right now he's editing one of our future videos.
Oh, that's
It's
wonderful. Can you
Yep.
can you tell us what to expect maybe in a couple upcoming discussions?
So I can tell you that it comes out, the next one comes out on March 30th, and it sticks very much to the entertainment news of that day. If that, there's
Oh,
something coming
okay.
out
All right.
on March 30th,
All right.
I'll
I
let
have
you
a
figure
feeling
it
it might
out.
be a certain Marvel character that is about to
Probably.
make a television debut. I saw Declan Shalvey's photographs this morning.
Right, right.
He's at the Moon Knight premiere. I spoke to him last week, and he told me off the air. He's like, he goes, I didn't want to sneak. He goes, I want it to be a surprise
Yeah,
when they
that's
fly me
so
out.
great for him. And oh, by the way, we're doing like a preview, a video premiere, I think it's called, on YouTube, whereas you can come and watch the video live as we're launching it, and we're going to be in the chat answering questions and all of that. So the best way to be in the know and not miss it is go on the YouTube channel right now and subscribe so you're notified when it comes
Let's.
on.
I'll make a banner for that as well. What is your YouTube channel name? Is it just your
Under
name?
my name, just under my name. Yeah,
There
it's
you
pretty
go.
easy to find.
Very good. Marvelous. Yes. So yeah, everyone also head to Elsa's YouTube channel, and again, they're so great to watch, Elsa, because again, you're clearly a fan, and it is exciting to hear your perspective on these creators and these classic comic books that they made. And I don't know. I all I can say is it's refreshing because at the same time uh, I know that relatively speaking, how long have you been drawing comics now?
I started in 2013,
Okay,
so
nine
about
years.
9 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the God, that's terrific. And again, I just think your point of view on these are really interesting, and I always appreciate your thoughts in looking at this stuff and breaking down why these are effective pages and panels.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's opened up for me a whole new path to improvement. On some things, I think I was not stuck, but my progress has slowed down maybe a little. And by doing those videos, it kind of opened my eyes on a whole array of things where I could improve.
Understood. And yeah, Michael says your YouTube videos are educational. Another Michael
Thank you.
praises the work in the first issue of Love Everlasting. Ilza nailed the feeling of those old time romance comics. Tom did his usual Tom Kingery with playing with our perceptions. Yeah, I
Right,
agree.
right.
Just a terrific idea. So did Tom come to you then, Ilza, in terms of hey, Substack has offered me this opportunity, or did Nick Spencer contact you? How did that
So
work?
Tom and I had been working on Love Everlasting for about 6 months when Substack reached out to him. I did. I contacted Tom myself early on to work on something together because I was looking for a new project and I wanted to work with Tom. But since he'd never done any creator owned, I was wondering whether he was not interested, and maybe was very very comfortable at DC Comics and didn't want to had to his played the extra trouble of doing creator owned comics. But he accepted right away, and so we started working on that. And of course, when Substack came to us, it was like, this is perfect. First of all, we have like 4 issues in the can, so we can like go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and of course, I'm very into producing content related to comic books and storytelling. So of course, it was a great match, I think.
Agreed. Again, yeah, you were kind of already working towards producing
Exactly, it
content.
was another branch of what we were already doing.
I and again, I really you and your partner, and also this working you're doing with Tom, it is so organized, and I really respect that because
Oh, really? Okay, well, it's an illusion.
well,
I
you're
mean,
fooling me.
it
So
is in some way. It is. We're trying to be, perfectionist and putting out things that we're proud of. But in terms of organizing, I don't know.
well, I admire your ambition to have so many different things going at the same time.
It was never the plan. I tell you that. It was never. This is one thing on top of another, and we're having fun doing all of this. So it's hard to say, let's cut this out, and the thing is, we've improved in terms of efficiency. So as we're becoming more and more efficient, we're opening up some pockets of time where we could relax, I guess, but we usually add another thing on top of everything else. So that's why we're doing so much stuff, is that we know what we're doing, and we're quick, we're fast, so that allows us, and of course, there's both of us.
Understood. Understood. From a convention standpoint, did you attend Angoulême this year?
No, I did not. I
Okay.
usually don't, to be
Oh,
completely honest. It's on the other way of the halfway across the country for me.
sure.
So it's a very long train ride, and usually it's in January, which is very cold in Angoulême. I've been there once and wasn't this great experience for me, so I never went back.
I understand.
But I hear it's great, especially for foreigners, because it's France. Yeah, I know France.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
know baguette, I know beret.
I hope to go to Angoulême sometime, and also Lucca in Italy.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that I want to do. I
yeah, I
really
hear
want to
great
do.
things. I hear great things about both festivals.
It's actually not that far from where I live.
Really, you
Yeah.
see, I am a geographical numbskull. I am not smart when it comes to where the map is and where everything is located.
Well,
Uh,
we're like 4 hours away from Italy, so it's really not far away.
that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Um, are you making any plans of doing any American shows this year?
I don't know.
Okay,
I wish I would go to a convention in the States this year, but I'm just a bit nervous about COVID still.
sure. No, absolutely.
Although everyone's telling me it's fine, I guess it's hard to make that leap. I haven't, I may do like a show in Europe in the like the next few months, but the States is another step that I don't feel quite ready to do. Yeah, Heroes Con would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael is suggesting that either Heroes Con or Dragon Con for Ilza to come to, and I don't blame you, and I don't blame you for your concern about what's happening with COVID right now. How are things in France in terms of just the general society and COVID? Are things opening up again?
Oh, they have been for a while, and about 10 days ago, the mask mandate they're over now. So it's like, I guess, back to normal. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. No,
I don't feel quite back to normal, but the cases are up again. I don't know.
you're not alone, and really, I mean, even in the States, I finally saw the Spider-Man movie, and I didn't see it in the theater. I waited until you could rent it streaming,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I just watched it recently. And I haven't seen Batman yet. I will eventually, but I may not see it in the theater yet. I understand the concern about still being in public with the COVID still kind of being out there. Absolutely,
Yeah, not
no
quite
question.
comfortable.
I get it. No, I understand. Listen, everyone. Obviously, Elsa's going to be with us for about another 20 or 25 minutes. So please, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. I want to take a short break and acknowledge our great sponsor, Alex Ross Art. So we will be right back after this. We're back, and I've loved looking at your art commissions over the years when you've done DC and Marvel and Star Wars characters and the like. Is there room in your schedule to do an occasional short story? Or I love the cat, yay!
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, just saying hi.
is there room in your schedule to do the occasional one shot or short story? Or no?
No, no.
I understand.
Like I'm like packed full to the brim. No, and if I had some time at some point, I think I'd want to write and draw my own thing, like a small. And the last time I had sort of an opening, we did the Kickstarter for the mini graphic novel, the Inktober graphic novel. So that was
Yes,
that. That's almost done with. So yeah, no, there are not. If I have pockets of time available, I'm not going to do work for hire. I would
understood.
much prefer to work on my own thing.
Well, again, you've been able to gather this very impressive audience on your work, on your commissions, but also your very successful Kickstarters for your sketchbooks. And I was really glad that you did that Inktober challenge to yourself to write a short graphic novel.
Another thing that we didn't need to do, and yet we did it. Yeah, the idea was to. So the first thing, the idea came when I felt we didn't have enough books to sell on our online store. We have the 2 art books, but that was it. And so I felt we need a little something like another book. And so, what if we did Inktober? What if we did a graphic novel out of Inktober? And so we ran the Kickstarter campaign. We did the book while Inktober was happening. And then we've been dealing with like issues after issues after issues since the campaign ended. But since it's been a fun experience, we've had like trouble with the printer, with the supply chain, everything you want, we
Sure.
had it.
Yeah, well, you're
Anything
not
you can
alone.
think
I
of.
mean, yeah, everyone from publishers to individual creators is certainly having that challenge. So
Yeah.
I do understand that. Michael wants to know: are there plans for another Kickstarter art book this year? Okay, there you go.
There isn't. Did you want to kill me?
Yeah, exactly. No, we want you around, Elsa. Absolutely.
A Kickstarter campaign. First of all, I have to put the art to do the art for the art book. I have a list of commissions, about like 30 commissions or so. that I have to do somehow. So I will do them. And then it's about a month to put the book together. And then you have to run the campaign. And then you have to handle all of the fulfillment. All of
Yes.
that is pretty much 3 months.
Oh, I hear you.
Which,
Honestly,
which I wish I had, but I just don't. So we're probably going to skip this year, especially since we did the Kickstarter, the Inktober Kickstarter. And I also didn't want backer fatigue, if that makes sense. We want
yes.
people to like really want the book to come back. So I
No,
think a
yeah.
gap here will be welcome.
Understood. You know, the first awareness I had of your work was when you and Matt Fraction collaborated with that wonderful graphic novel series, November. And that's just I just think it's such a beautiful lyric story from both of you, from Matt's writing and your art as well. And I hope that with your growing audience, that there continues to be interest in November. And I just wonder how.
Yes, I hope so. I think it's first of all, although I finished it about 2 years ago and started it 3 years ago, I think that my art at that time had made a big jump in quality. So I'm still very happy with what I did, which is unusual. Usually, on like a year after a book is out, I'm like, I cannot look at that thing. And it may be probably intertwined with the very fond feeling I have towards collaborating with Matt and the book itself, the story itself. I worked on the French, I had a look at the French translation a month ago, and so I had to reread the entire book.
Sure.
And I fell in love with it all over again. It's just such a fantastic book.
It really is, and I hope that your schedules will allow a future collaboration, because I think you two work so well together, as evidenced by the
We
finished
do,
product.
we do. Although Love Everlasting is an ongoing, so we're probably going to do at least like 25, 30, 35 issues, depending on how that
Marvelous.
goes. So collaboration with Matt is probably not for right away, especially since he's working like on major stuff on his side.
Yes, yes, and I know his TV work is picking up as well, and I'm very happy for
Yes.
him. He and
Yeah.
Kelly, I mean, they're such a lovely couple. He and Kelly Sue, and I know you as well.
Powerhouses, both of them.
Indeed,
Power couple.
absolutely, massively power couple. Yes,
I love
indeed.
them both so much. I'm very glad that over the years that we became friends. And, even though Matt and I are not working together right now, we're still, very good friends, and that's very good. I don't have many friends, but I'm really glad that Matt is one of them.
I totally get it. Absolutely. So again, in these 9 years, you've seen a lot of changes in the comic market as you were breaking in, and now you're, really, I think, reasonably established as a creator of your own comics and stuff. Is there obviously there is the challenge currently of the supply shortage and the supply chain and getting things. Are there any other challenges that you've seen in the last year or two that you didn't see, or you've noticed have changed as far as the business?
Um, I'm not. I would say that the challenge that comes from requiring from artists that they do everything, like whether it's podcast, whether it's a Substack, whether it's this or that. Not everyone is equipped to do that. Not everyone wants to do that.
Yes.
And it inevitably, for those who do, either cut on their leisure time or make them late on their books. So I think it's an added pressure to artists that
Yes.
they don't really need it. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it, and if I were just drawing books, I would probably get bored really quickly.
Sure.
But since it seems like it's kind of required now from artists, and I'm not sure that's very good.
I understand. But again, it's if you don't promote yourself, it is hard to find others that will do the work for you.
Yes, it's the thing. It's become about more than self promotion. It's become about developing new skills. You know,
I
and
do.
that's where it becomes more complicated for
Sure.
artists.
No, I agree with that. And yes, it is. There are business skills that you have to learn or to survive,
Yeah.
and to maintain a presence. And I mean, I know this myself, even from podcasting compared to broadcasting, when all I had to do was show up for work and open a microphone and then talk for an hour or two
Mm.
or even 4 hours. And now it's kind of I'm a one man band. Believe me, I do understand.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's for some artists, it's become a lot more complicated to live a balanced life.
Are there genres of story that you haven't explored yet that you wish to, or a horror? I mean, a more direct horror. I don't see you as a horror artist, but I don't know if that is an interest as far as a
I'm not
genre.
a, um, I'm not a horror fan. I get scared, very
Me too.
easily. So I'm not too comfortable in that
Okay.
genre, either as a spectator, reader, or as an artist. I don't really think in terms of genre, honestly. I think in terms of stories. You know, give me a story that I care about is pretty much the only thing that I have in mind. My only requirement is that it can be in any genre. I don't care really. It's not important to me. It may be because I didn't grew up reading a lot, so I haven't developed a fondness for specific genres that I would want to emulate as an artist. That may be why, I don't know. I guess my interest lies in story.
Understood. Are there current favorite television shows or films that you're watching that you might want to share with your audience in terms of good storytelling right now?
I
Do you have time
I a
to watch?
little, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I try not to work at night, so I have some time to wind down. I will usually read, but I've been catching up, binge watching Curb Your Enthusiasm that I
Oh, I love
never
that show.
watched before.
Oh, yes.
So in terms of storytelling, that's pretty interesting because it's completely unique in its way of telling a story,
Oh,
and
absolutely. It's very unconventional. No, I'm a big comedy nerd, and no, I think Larry David is a real genius, and also a frequent director of his show is David Steinberg, and David Steinberg was a great stand-up in the '60s, and has a great long career in both sketch comedy and also stand-up comedy. And I really think he is a very important contributor. And he's also he directed Friends back in during Friends heyday, and a lot of really successful comedy shows. So I always get excited when more than one great comedian is working on a project. And I think Larry David and the people that he's assembled, actors and people behind the camera, are incredible for Curb Your Enthusiasm. So that's great. I'm glad you're a fan of that.
and we're subscribed to Mubi. Do
Yes,
you know the subscription? It's basically like a streaming service for independent movies, or
yes,
I think that's how you would describe it. So
yes.
we've been watching a lot of stuff on that, and obviously I'm blanking on any one movie that I've seen recently, but lots of great stuff that are not conventional.
I was just talking to two television writers that also write comics yesterday. I talked to Rodney Barnes and also
Oh.
Mark Bernardin, and I was asking them what they think is the future of small movies, because it seems like the independent films are finding it. I don't know if movie theaters, and I don't know how this is in France, but here in the States, that was always a challenge. If you weren't in a big city like New York, like Chicago, like Los Angeles, to find theaters that would play the smaller independent films. I'm glad that there are services like Mubi, but also even the other streamers as well that show small films. But I'm wondering from a storytelling standpoint, how much studios are willing to still invest in a small story rather than what we're now certainly being exposed to, so many television shows that have a larger canvas of hours to tell a more complicated story with more detailed characterization than you would get in a 90-minute to 2 hour movie.
I'm not very familiar with the market, so I'm not going to have an insight on this. But I do, yeah, I can notice as a viewer myself
Yeah.
that there have been this shift towards, and sometimes it's turning 2 hour movies into 7 hour TV shows. There's that stretching out a story material to cover an entire season of a TV show. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It's important as a creator to stray away from the mainstream. Mainstream movies is not the bigger movies with the classic structure, the 1, 2, third act. All of this can be interesting, but there is sometimes a lack of it. And I think that the goal is to touch an audience as wide as possible. So it makes sense. But to not maybe experiment that much with storytelling.
Understood.
Something you can find in independent movies, because the whole goal of an independent movie is to do something different. Even if it means you're gonna make squat on it.
Yes. No, absolutely. I know, and I understand. And yeah, I really wanted your opinion as a viewer, more so even as, although an informed viewer, because you're storytelling in your own way as well. So no, I can appreciate that. Now I know
And
you're a long. Go ahead, please. If you.
it's pretty much like comics. Sometimes on some YouTube videos, I'll go over a page and say, this is going against the rules. So this shouldn't work, and yet it does work. Why? There's the same thing with movies and independent movies. You see something that shouldn't work, shouldn't be done that way, and yet since it's done within a comprehensive look or vision, it works. So that's why it's important to go toward things that are not easy to watch and different.
I understand. Now I know you're a big Star Wars fan, and I do want to know what you've thought of the recent output of the television shows, Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and that. What have you thought so far?
I haven't watched Boba Fett. I haven't
Okay,
had
that's
the I
okay.
haven't had the time.
That's
But
okay.
I did like Mandalorian, although I found some episodes were better than others, but generally speaking, I loved it. Yeah, I think it was very good.
That's cool. That's cool. And like you said, I know you're excited about Moon Knight coming up at the end of the month, so that's
Yep.
great, and looking forward to that video. We can wrap up. I know you've got a busy schedule, and I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah,
Uh,
if you allow me, I just wanted to
Please, of
show the
course.
mini
Oh
prints.
yes, excuse me. Yes, here I'm going
No,
to
no,
zoom
no
in.
worries. So we're Pierrick and I, to support our YouTube channel, have a Patreon, and we have a tier that's called the Mini Print Club, and we're sending subscribers a mini print on a monthly basis, delivered to your doorstep. And this is the one for this month. Look how pretty the foil.
Absolutely. No, you did a great job. And that is so classic Eisner composition
Yeah.
now is that again an homage, or is that
Yeah,
that's
yeah, it is, and it's available until March 30th, until the end of the month, and after that, it's gone forever for good.
okay, so it's a limited
So,
print,
yes,
and that's for your Patreon. That's to subscribe to your Patreon. Oh, she froze again. I'm so bummed when that happens. Uh, and hopefully she'll be back and before so we can wrap up.
Hey.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. That's
Yeah,
okay.
this is on Patreon at the Mini Print Club tier.
Okay. At the Mini Print Club tier. Okay. And your Patreon is patreon.com/.
My name.
Elsa Charretier. There you go. Excellent. And again, if you subscribe, well, it's free. You can, with a free subscription, now get access to issues 1 and 2 of Love Everlasting. It's
On Substack, yeah.
everlastingproductions.com, or pardon me, everlastingproductions.substack.com, just like the banner says
Yep.
under us. And truly great. And I know people are excited. Michael is even saying 35 issues of Love Everlasting. Indeed,
Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. If I end up doing 15, oh my God, you are going to be disappointed. That was the goal. Please don't,
will you eventually release hard copies of Love Everlasting as a trade,
Yes,
or very
there
good?
will be print copies.
That's excellent. No, that's terrific. Again, Ilsa, you're fooling us all because it seems like you and your partners have got it down to a science how you're releasing this stuff. So
It's
keep
a,
fooling us.
yeah, it's a big part of the effort. Is like trying to make it look easy.
Well, you succeed, and truly, congratulations. Honestly, I'm
Thank you
so
so
happy
much.
for you that your audience is finding you, and they only want the best from you, and you keep delivering. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on again. I really had a great time.
You're always welcome back to talk about anything that's new or even an update on Love Everlasting and the like. So
Will do.
I'll be bugging you for future conversations. I hope you know that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Ilsa Charretier, everybody. Love Everlasting. Indeed. Take care, buddy. And thank you everyone for watching. We will touch base again tomorrow night. My buddy Kevin Mellon, who's a fine comic book artist in his own right, is also breaking into the music business, and he's got a brand new album. And I feel like I'm a radio DJ again, being able to talk about music. So I'll be stretching those muscles with Kevin tomorrow night on Word Balloon Live. Until then, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.